Hi again everyone. So I'm just going to go through the second part of The Explorer's Daughter and analyse it through with you. The first point to make is this paragraph shifts, we have a shift in the narrative. And it's quite interesting how the writer uses the paragraphs to structure the text. So we go from this informative information here to a description of the hunt. But without this paragraph here, without this third paragraph, just to highlight that for you, the hunt wouldn't seem as essential, as vital, and important. It makes it feel more suspenseful because we understand just how much they need the mattock from the whales, and it makes it more suspenseful because as a reader, obviously, we want them to survive. We want them to be able to get that key material that they need, for example. Okay, so we have a bit more description here that we're used to. So we have this verb clustered. So all the women, that tells me that they are really packed together. That tells me how there's lots of them there watching. And that makes me understand that this is a really important and crucial event. And it's drawn a big audience. The binoculars are pointing in every direction, each woman focusing on her husband or family member, occasionally spinning round at a small gasp or jump. So anytime someone gasps or jumps, they spin around. They don't turn around, they spin around. Because spin suggests how quickly they move, which tells me how worried these women are about their husbands, which makes me infer just how dangerous the hunt is. So do you see how much analysis I've just got out of that word spinning, and how much that word has helped me to understand using that classic effect and impact method. Each wife knew her husband instinctively and watched their progress intently. That tells me more of the same thing. They are fully concentrating on their husband because of how dangerous this is. We have the word, we have the adjective crucial, which once again reinforces how vital this is. And then we have a list of 3 here. It was part of their staple diet, point number 1. Mattock meat could be sold, point number 2. And then number 3, it was part of their staple diet. Some of the mattock meat could be sold to other hunters and it would bring in some much extra income. So therefore we have this tricolon, we have more listing that suggests why they need to hunt. Then we have this short sentence here, every hunter was on the water. It was like watching a vast waterborne game with the hunter spread like a net around the sound. Now we have 2 similes here. The first one is like watching a vast waterborne game. And that is ironic because this isn't a game. They aren't hunting for the fun of it like Henry VIII used to do or fox hunters used to do a few years ago. That's ironic because actually it's serious. But I think she uses the word game to get across to us just how careful they are being and how strategic they are being. It makes me picture them all in formation like you would be on a football field or playing netball. Spread like a net around the sound. Now the sound is the lake where they are. The simile of like a net suggests how they're all spread out. They're all surrounding the whale because they want to catch the whale like things are caught in a net. So that just tells me that they're being careful, they're being tactical, and they're putting great care into this, and that tells me once again just how important this is. They need to get it right in order to survive. Now, what we have is, even though the narwhal are being hunted and she wants the men to succeed, what the writer Herbert does is she presents the narwhal really interestingly. So we had how they were quite majestic in the first paragraph. We have the word intelligent, the adjective intelligent used for them. Their senses are keen and they talk to one another under the water. So we're seeing that these creatures are really developed. They are able to communicate and talk. They're really special. They are keen. If someone's keen, then that tells me that they're really sharp creatures. Their hearing is particularly developed and they can hear the sound of a paddling kayak from a great distance. That's why hunters had to sit so very still in the water. So that makes the hunt even more full of suspense, and it makes it so much more dangerous. They're not just hunting any old creature, they are hunting a hyper-intelligent, hyper-aware creature who has almost has this hyper-awareness of things around them. So that makes this scene even more dangerous and precarious, because one wrong move and then the narwhal could strike them, because it has particularly developed hearing, it can hear them approach. And that makes this situation in the next paragraph, I'll write the word down again, seem even more dangerous. So we're given that bit of information and then we're straight into one hunter was almost on top of a pair of narwhal, which makes us understand how dangerous that is. And they were huge. He gently picked up his harpoon and aimed. In that split second, my heart leapt for both hunter and narwhal. So what the writer is doing here, she's building suspense. She doesn't tell us exactly what happened there. She pauses to not reveal what happened. In that split second, my heart leapt. That tells us how tense this moment is. Her heart leapt. That shows how she had that moment of panic. And yeah, we have that really powerful personification of the heart leaping. She's so invested in this, her body's almost moving around without her instructing it to. We see her desperation for the hunt to go well with the verb urged. If you urge someone, then you do it with great seriousness and with importance. And we have a very gradual description to build up the tension. He was so close to do what he was about to do. He hasn't even done it yet. We've got the adjective flimsy to represent how vulnerable he is in this situation. The adverb easily tells us, obviously makes us understand how one wrong move and he is probably done for. The hunter had no rifle, only one harpoon and two heads and one bladder. It was a foolhardy exercise and one could only inspire respect. So she feels very positive towards these hunters. She really respects them for what they're doing, especially considering they have very little equipment to do it with. But then we have this conflict. She wants the man to survive, but she also wants the narwhal to survive. And this dilemma stays with her the whole time she was in Greenland. There's a lot of different things that the writer does. She talks about the majesty of the creature, she talks about how crucial the hunt is, but she also tells us how difficult life is in the Arctic. She includes the reader. She says we demand, as a Western culture, animals to be protected because of their beauty. But here she's given us another viewpoint. You cannot be sentimental in the Arctic, and that once again reinforces how harsh the environment is, that survival is the most important thing. They suggest that they've been bombarded that we as a media the media has bombarded us. That means there's been so many images around. We've almost been attacked with these images. There's been so many of them, of men battering seals for the fur. Hasn't helped the issue of polar hunting. So battering is obviously very violent, and for fur is obviously unnecessary. And that's in juxtaposition to the vital and crucial hunting of the narwhal, because they need the mattock. So we've got this juxtaposition here between the two. We've got the kind of the bad hunters, the one who do it for money and for sport, for the fur, and then we've got the vital and crucial hunters, such as these. And then she gives us a list of even more reasons why the hunting is essential. They don't get enough imported goods, that's number one. There's only one annual supply ship that makes it through, reason number two. And they have 2 planes a week, but it only carries a certain amount of goods. So she finishes off with a tricolon, a list of 3. And then we have this final sentence here, this final short sentence. And this is going to be a structure point. So she ends here. And the reason she ends with that sentence is important. Imagine that's a good topic sentence. That sentence could have been the start of the paragraph, but she leaves it to the end because then it has more impact. We are more likely to believe it. So think about it. Imagine if she said that at the start of the text or at the start of this paragraph, hunting is an absolute necessity. We might go, yeah, but it isn't, is it? Because hunting's really bad. However, she puts it at the end of the paragraph, after all these reasons. So we are more likely to agree with her after hearing the reasons. So we're not just being told that it's a necessity, she is proving her point first, so that we're more likely to agree with her at the end. And we see that very strong emotive language. It is absolute. It is an absolute necessity. So we have that emotive adjective there, which makes us understand that they have no choice. It's something that's absolute. There is no way around it. And this text, that's the purpose of it. It's to justify hunting. It's to give us factual information about it. It's to give us more understanding of why these people have to hunt, but at the same time it still manages to present these whales in a positive way, and it still presents the whales with sensitivity and with great respect, but at the same time obviously balances that out with justifications for them being hunted. Okay, so we have the conflict, we have the dilemma, we have lots of good description, we have lots of factual writing. There's less, obviously, descriptive language on the whole compared to the other ones that we've done. So you need to make the most of the listing, the short sentences, the pausing, the structural shift between the paragraphs. And then you need to make the most of even quite basic adjectives like essential, absolute, crucial in your analysis. Otherwise, you won't have enough to write about for this text. Okay, hope that makes sense. I'll give you another video by someone else as a backup to this, which will go over many of the same points as this. It's just a backup if something didn't quite make sense in this one. Okay, all the best everyone.